Are you ready to dive into something really fascinating? Today, we're taking on Alzheimer's research.
I'm ready. It's a topic that always reminds us how much we still have to learn about the brain.
Absolutely. And this research paper you sent over uses deep learning, which sounds super complex, but it's actually trying to make things clearer, especially when it comes to early detection of Alzheimer's.
You're right, early detection is key, and that's where deep learning can really shine.
So this paper is titled Multimodal Deep Learning Models for Early Detection of Alzheimer's Disease Stage.
Catchy title, right?
Definitely one for the scientists. But in a nutshell, what's the core idea they're exploring?
Think of it like this. Imagine a detective using every tool at their disposal to solve a case, right?
Okay, I'm following you.
That's what these researchers are doing. But instead of a magnifying glass, they're using deep learning to find those hidden patterns and clues in all sorts of data. Brain scans, medical records, even genetics, it's all on the table.
Okay, now that's what I call a high-tech investigation. So walk me through these clues. What kind of data are we actually talking about?
Well, first up, we've got the classics. Brain scans, specifically MRI images.
Like a snapshot of what's happening inside the brain, right?
Yeah, exactly. Then we have electronic health records, those treasure troves of medical history, medications, test results. It's all in there.
So that's two types of clues down. What's the third one?
This is where it gets really interesting. We're talking genetic information.
DNA analysis. Sounds like we're getting serious here.
We are. They're looking at SNPs, these tiny variations in our DNA that can sometimes signal a higher risk for diseases, including Alzheimer's.
Wow, it's like they're building a case with fingerprints, medical records, and even DNA evidence. This is already fascinating. But before we get too far, let's pause and address the elephant in the room. Why is early detection for Alzheimer's so crucial?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? You see those early symptoms, things like forgetfulness or struggling to find the right word.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Exactly. They can be easily mistaken for just normal aging. But by the time the more obvious signs appear, the disease may have already progressed significantly.
So early detection is all about getting ahead of it.
Absolutely. It's about having more time to explore treatment options, more time to plan for the future, and most importantly, more time with those precious memories.
It's about taking control, right?
Exactly. And that's where deep learning really comes in. It can potentially spot those subtle red flags, those early warning signs that might otherwise go unnoticed.
It's like giving doctors a more powerful lens to see what's really going on. But how does it actually work? I mean, are we talking about computers reading medical textbooks?
Not quite. Though wouldn't that be something? Deep learning is all about training computers to analyze vast amounts of data and find those hidden connections. We're not telling the computer what to look for. We're letting it figure it out itself.
So instead of feeding the computer a diagnosis, we're feeding it information and letting it make the connections. That's incredible.
It's about leveraging the power of these algorithms to potentially unlock a deeper understanding of Alzheimer's, something that has puzzled scientists for decades.
Okay, this is already blowing my mind. But one thing I've noticed popping up is this term, multimodal. What does that even mean?
Multimodal just means they're not just looking at one type of data. They're combining different sources to get a more complete picture. Remember our detective analogy.
Yeah, the brain scans, medical records, and DNA.
It's like putting all those clues together to build a rock-solid case. By analyzing brain scans, EHRs, and SNPs together, researchers can get a far more comprehensive view than with just one data type alone.
So it's about connecting the dots.
Precisely. It's about finding those subtle links, those whispers in the data that might point to the early stages of Alzheimer's even before they're obvious to the human eye.
This is fascinating. Okay, I'm ready for the next level.
Yeah.
Tell me, what did the researchers actually find? What did our deep learning detective uncover? All right, lay it on me. What kind of detective work did they do with all this data?
So they dug into this incredible data set, the Alzheimer's Disease Neuroimaging Initiative, ADNI for short. It's a massive collection of data from over 2,000 patients.
Okay, so we're talking big data here.
We are. And each patient had their own combination of brain scans, EHRs, and that genetic information we talked about.
Did they have all three types of data for every single patient? Because that seems like it would be pretty rare.
You're right, it wasn't a perfect trifecta for everyone. Think of it like our detective showing up at a crime scene, right? Sometimes you've got fingerprints, sometimes you've got DNA, sometimes you've just got eyewitness accounts.
Okay, so a real mixed bag of clues.
Yeah.
How do you even begin to make sense of that?
That's where deep learning flexes its muscles. The researchers basically trains separate models to become specialized in each data type.
So one model for brain scans, one for EHRs, and another for the genetic data.
You got it. It's like having a team of detectives, each with their own expertise, all working together to crack the case.
I like the way you think. So how did these specialist models actually work together?
They combine their findings, creating a sort of super detective that could make more holistic and accurate predictions.
Okay, so we've got our high-tech detective team. But did they actually solve the case? Was the deep learning approach really better at predicting Alzheimer's?
The results were pretty amazing, especially when it came to predicting that early stage, the MCI.
That was the really tricky one, right?
Exactly. And in some cases, deep learning was up to 20% more accurate than traditional methods. That's huge.
20%. That's a game changer, for sure. What makes deep learning so good at spotting those early signs?
It's all about those hidden connections. See, traditional methods, they often rely on factors we already know are important. Deep learning, it can find those subtle patterns we might completely miss.
It's like our deep learning detective can spot a tiny detail in a brain scan, connect it to a medication listed in the EHR, and suddenly it's a huge red flag for Alzheimer's, even though none of those things alone would have raised any alarm.
You're getting it. And here's where it gets even cooler. They didn't just stop at predicting Alzheimer's.
Okay, now you've got to tell me more.
Yeah.
What else could they do?
They found a way to figure out what the deep learning model was focusing on.
Wait, so they could ask the computer, hey, what's your thought process here?
Well, not that directly, unfortunately, but they were able to identify those key clues that the model used to make its predictions. It's like retracing the steps of our detective. We want to know why they focused on certain pieces of evidence and how that led them to the culprit.
All right, so spill the beans. What were the smoking guns in the Alzheimer's case? What were the biggest clues?
Some clues were pretty expected.
Like what? Give me an example.
Declining scores on memory tests.
Makes sense.
Those have always been a red flag for Alzheimer's. But the deep learning model,
Yeah.
it also honed in on changes in the size of certain brain regions.
Like what?
Especially the hippocampus.
The hippocampus.
Yeah.
That's the part of the brain that's...
Responsible for forming new memories.
Right.
Exactly.
So like when you walk into a room and forget why you went in there.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's your hippocampus.
Wow.
Sometimes working and sometimes not working so well.
I relate to that.
This research shows that deep learning can actually pick up on subtle shrinkage in the hippocampus.
Really?
That might be a very early warning sign of Alzheimer's.
Before you even start forgetting why you walked into rooms.
Potentially even before those senior moments become a real cause for concern.
That is pretty amazing.
It is.
It's like it can see the future of our brains.
In a way, it's giving us a window into the brain,
Wow.
allowing us to see those very beginnings of a disease that has always felt so mysterious and scary.
For sure.
But it wasn't just about brain structure.
Right, we talked about the genetic clues, too.
Exactly. It was like having multiple lines of evidence.
The SMPs.
Yes. All pointing to the same conclusion.
So what did they find with the genetic information?
The deep learning model was able to pinpoint specific SNPs, those tiny DNA variations we talked about earlier, that were linked to a higher risk of developing Alzheimer's.
So that means...
This is big.
Yeah.
Because it can help us identify individuals who are genetically predisposed to the disease.
Way before any symptoms even appear.
Allowing for even earlier intervention and potentially even preventative measures down the road.
Now, that is what I call personalized medicine.
Exactly.
This is really incredible stuff. We've gone from this kind of vague idea of deep learning to this incredibly powerful tool that can not only predict Alzheimer's with amazing accuracy,
Right.
but also actually pinpoint the very clues driving those predictions. It's like we're finally starting to understand the language of this disease.
And the more data we feed these deep learning models, the more sophisticated they get.
It's like they're learning and evolving right alongside us.
Precisely.
This is really promising. But let's talk about what this means for people in the real world. People who are worried about Alzheimer's, their families, the future of how we treat this disease. What are the real-world implications of all of this?
The possibilities are really exciting.
Like what?
Imagine a future where this kind of analysis is just part of your regular checkup.
Okay.
You go to the doctor, get a brain scans, maybe some blood work done, and boom, they can assess your risk for Alzheimer's with incredible accuracy, even before you have any symptoms.
Wow, that seems almost too good to be true. Early diagnosis would be a game changer.
It would.
It would give people the chance to make lifestyle changes, explore treatment options, plan for the future while they still have their full cognitive abilities.
It's about empowering people with knowledge and giving them options.
What else is on the horizon? What other doors does this open?
Well, early diagnosis is incredible, but it's just the beginning. Imagine using this technology to develop truly personalized treatments.
Okay.
Right now, Alzheimer's treatment is pretty one-size-fits-all.
Yeah, it's true.
With deep learning, we could create a tailored plan for each patient
Based on their...
based on their unique risk factors,
Yeah.
genetic predispositions, even their lifestyle.
So instead of just treating the disease, you're treating the individual.
Right,
It's
kind
like
of.
the difference between using a generic map to find your way around a new city and having a GPS that guides you directly to your destination, taking into account traffic road closures, even your preferred route.
That's a great analogy.
This technology has the potential to change everything.
It really does.
And what about drug development? Could this accelerate the search for more effective treatments?
Absolutely. By identifying those specific biological pathways involved in Alzheimer's, the ones deep learning is already highlighting, researchers can develop drugs that target those pathways with much more precision, leading to more effective therapies with fewer side effects.
This has been incredible. I've gone from feeling kind of intimidated by deep learning to being completely amazed by its potential.
It's powerful stuff.
Who knew that algorithms could be the key to unlocking the mysteries of the human brain?
It's a brave new world out there.
It really is, and the most exciting part is that we're only just scratching the surface of what's possible.
We're just getting started.
Expert speaker, thank you so much for taking us on this incredible journey into the world of deep learning and Alzheimer's research.
It's been my pleasure.
It's given us so much to think about.
It has.
And listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the future of Alzheimer's research. We'll be back next time with another fascinating topic. Until then, stay curious.